all know is a pen, not a microphone. So I would hope you all bear with me. And I'd ask the audience to also bear with the candidates because while some of them are accustomed to being behind a microphone, some are not. And none of them know the questions we're about to ask, and that would scare me to death if I were you. So I appreciate that and recognize it. I am probably going to screw up. You might too, but that's okay. We're just going to brush ourselves off and keep trucking. The large majority of these questions that we're asking tonight were submitted by Mooresville citizens. Considering the number of candidates that are here and the number of questions that were submitted, I chose questions that are focused on local issues. That being said, I'd like to extend an invitation to each and every candidate to have a sit-down one-on-one with me after this, obviously not tonight, it'll be late, that we can either record or I can turn into an article for you. I have my trusty timekeeper, Michael, beside me. He and I have been friends for years and years, and he runs a very tight ship. You each will have 2 minutes to answer questions, and we have this fancy bell, so whenever you have 15 seconds left, you'll hear the ding, and then when your time is up, you'll hear the ding again. So I know we're all here because we're passionate about local government, and many of us have very strong opinions out here. I would like to make this forum as informal and laid back as possible. Understand that this is a time for us as citizens to listen. Without knowing, where our candidates stand on issues, we cannot make informed and educated votes. So please give the candidates the courtesy of allotting them their full time to answer questions without interruptions. Applause is allowed, and I know this audience, so I know better than to tell it what to do. But please remember that any interruptions will take precious seconds away from your candidate's allotted speaking time. Finally, I would like to take a moment to talk a little shop and make somewhat of an announcement. As most of you know, I'm a longtime local journalist and a single mama who is obviously very passionate about being your eyes, ears, and your voice. But it takes a lot of time. This is directed more towards my people, my readers, who, by the way, I love y'all. There's a vacuum of local news here, and I'll be honest, the local press needs to take one on the chin for a lot of the messes going on around town right now. Because without an active press, there's no one standing by the government with a megaphone holding public officials accountable. We need an active press, and I think anybody sitting up on the stage would say that y'all do too. The government needs it to be able to effectively communicate with the public that the government is supposed to be serving. To my people, I love serving in that role for you. But the student is at a crossroads, and in the past, if any of you have followed me for a while, you know I've always jumped into an issue, then packed up and gone about my life when the issue is resolved, and I don't want to do that anymore. So, in talking to many of you, I have come to the very real realization that you're hungry for information too. And I'm honored to provide that to you, but we will need your support to be able to give it our best shot to make this super full-time bona fide local news source, which is what we want to do. On the blog's webpage is a membership tab. Some of you have already found it with no announcement, and we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for making a donation, either $9 a month or $100 a year to our efforts. Your support means the entire world, but for those of you who aren't aware, if you would like to support us through membership, you can sign up through the website or make a donation to our Venmo account, which is, again, Mooresville Scoop. Right now, we're just grassroots and depending on supporters like you. And the more support we have, the more stories we can cover, and we have big plans for our future. With all that out of the way, hope I didn't worry y'all too much. I am awfully proud to announce this stage full of your 2023 Mooresville Town Board candidates. And I'm going to now open the floor to them, giving each 2 minutes to tell you a little about themselves. I actually want to start with Commissioner Dingler, because he's not going to stay, and there's a reason why, and it's a good reason. It's a kind reason. So then we'll just move on down the line if that's good with you guys. Everybody gets 2 minutes, and Michael will ding his last two. And what we would like for you each to consider in your opening statement. You don't have to, but we would like for you to consider. Why do you believe you're qualified to serve on the town board? And you're off. Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. So my name is Eddie Dingler. I've been your ward one commissioner, so basically since 2011. Been in this role and absolutely involved, very involved in the community. During my day life, I run Shop and Save Market, which most of you probably know where that is. And so it's kind of central in Ward 1, and so I talk to a lot of people, I see a lot of people, and it's been working out pretty well. Apparently no one wants my job. So that being said, I appreciate y'all coming out. I'm going to stick around this evening if you have any questions. Obviously I'm not hard to find. You let me know, I'll be glad to answer anything. But I'm going to turn my time over to everyone on this stage so that you can get to know them and have a great understanding of what their vision is for Mooresville. With that being said, greatly appreciate y'all. Anything I can do, please let me know.
My name is Frank Hollins. I'm running for commissioner at large like the rest here are. I'm a lifelong resident of Mooresville, a graduate of Mooresville High School. I'm a retired police captain with 30 years of service. I was on the town board for 8 years. I have been given the order to long leave time by the governor for my recognition and work for the community. I do a lot of volunteering work. After I retired from the police department, I worked for 2 NASCAR drivers, Ricky Rudd and Wally Dollenbach. Now all I do is volunteer work. For the last 13 years, I've been volunteering at hospice of Iredell County. I volunteer at Gordon Hospice House, Mitchell Mack Hospice House, and also volunteer at hospice patients in their home. I'm also the chairman of the Rural Rescue Squad Board, who donates to different charities. And I appreciate all these people running for this board. It's good that we have people wanting to serve. And I'm just so proud to see the 6 people run for this seat. And I'm sure that the town would be great for any of them to be their new commissioner. But I really think I'm the best qualified. And by the way, this is not me. I'm shorts and t-shirts. This is way out of my character here, so thank you.
Hi everyone, thank you for coming tonight. I'm Angela Stutz. I'm a 44-year resident of Mooresville. I am married and a mother of 4. I just recently celebrated my 34th year with Bank of America and currently hold a role of Senior Vice President in Compliance, specializing in anti-bribery and anti-corruption. I work specifically with government relations within our bankers and in the retail space. I am also, like Frank, I'm a huge volunteer within the community. I like to be hands-on. I have a great opportunity to get out and just hear what people have to say, things that really bother them, issues that they're incurring, whether it be finding affordable housing or even finding groceries to feed their family. I look forward to serving as a commissioner on the town board. And as Frank mentioned, I also think it's great, one, that you all turned out to hear what we have to say. And we have so many running that have an interest in supporting the community and being passionate about the community that we serve. So thank you for coming, and hopefully we'll be able to answer all of your questions.
I hope you don't mind if I stand. I think this is important. And why am I qualified? Well, I'm qualified because I don't understand what's wrong with this picture. Why are we downzoning everything to 8 units per acre? Why are we raising heights to 3-story, 4 stories? What's next, 10 stories? I think the whole zoning thing is screwed up, simply put. I think the downzoning, 8 units per acre, needs to be inverted to 1/3 acre and 1/2 acre. I think that's a big problem. I think getting respect from Raleigh, I don't understand why we get 2 lanes and a toll, and Concord gets $10 billion and 5 lanes, going to everywhere. Something's wrong with this picture. It starts in Raleigh.
I think the Department of Transportation is mashugana. I think they're gone. I think they need help. They need good engineers from Chicago, California, New York that know how to turn left instead of these inverted, convoluted, counterintuitive, ass-backwards roads and bridges that are counterintuitive, that are gonna create a homicide, a vehicular homicide someday when two old people ran into more old people and have a head-on accident. I mean, the 150 bridge here, if I'm elected, I'll kill that and do everything I can to kill that and turn it into 4 lanes, 2 lanes going left, 5 lanes if necessary, 6 lanes, whatever we need. And get 150 built out, past Perth Road, and get Perth Road widened for about 600 yards, so the people out there are not suffering in 1 hour's worth of aggravation. And, oh yeah, one more thing, I know the bell rang. I-77 Mobility Partners, everybody ought to audit their charges. I think everybody's being ripped off.
Wow, how do you follow that? My name is Jeff Karp. I am running for, obviously, Town Commissioner at Large. I moved to Charlotte from Richmond, Virginia, starting in the north, and I chose to move here because of the growing community that I watched from South Park all the way up to where we are today. And growth is a good thing in a way, but managed growth is a better thing, and that's, I think, what the emphasis of this commission going forward needs to be. Quick background, I am a financial advisor for 30+ years, so I know numbers. I built my own business, so I'm a small business owner, and I didn't just start coming up with volunteering. I've been volunteering for 20+ years as president of 2 different homeowners associations, as founding partner in a Rotary group, as the Historic Preservation Commission appointed me on the One Mooresville Steering Committee. So I've been doing things for a while, and this position allows me to put all of that experience, and yes, experience matters, puts all that experience to work in building out what needs to be a good vision of where we're headed and how we get there. Yes, we need to control growth and infrastructure, but no, we don't need to stop what we're doing. We need to better control and manage it, and that's what I intend to do if elected to this position. Thank you.
Wow. I normally don't need these things. I'm a big enough mouth as it is. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming, and thanks, Jamie, to you and your staff. My name is Sean Kinahan. I'm originally from New York. Figured that one out, right? I'm running for the Commissioner at Large, just like a few of my fellow candidates. I have a lengthy service in the public service industry. I am a retired 25-year veteran, firefighter in New York and EMT. I'm also a first responder and cancer survivor from 9/11. So I know all about fighting. There's a lot of things that need to be addressed here in our town. And everybody I talk to, and I've met a lot of interesting people throughout the town, is the first things that come up with infrastructure and overgrowth and overdevelopment. Well, they're correct. We need to get control of that stuff and manage it instead of just letting it manage us. So again, being from New York, we dealt with that problem on a day-to-day basis. I moved here to Mooresville in 2007 with my wife Susan and my son Justin. While I was here, I was fortunate enough to be a security contractor against serving the community for the United States military. I presently now serve on my community HOA now for 12 years, and we do amazing things in our community, so I'm planning to do amazing things for Mooresville as well. I've worked with the town and the state on a few projects. We were instrumental in getting the traffic light on Linwood Road and Main Street. We also stopped a major developer from building on a pretty large landfill off Linwood Road, so I'm kind of proud of those. I think the other thing that we just got hit with are taxes, and it's another thing I think we like to just kind of budget that and keep the town's budget on taxes where they are. Let's hopefully we can keep them inexpensive. Again, I appreciate your time. I look forward to your vote and talking to you afterwards. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Eddie Kirk. I'm a lifelong member here in Mooresville. I've been honored to grow up in this town, which I'm very passionate about. Over the years, I've been actively involved in civic organizations. I've had the great opportunity of being in the Mooresville Citizens Academy, the Mooresville Police Citizens Academy, the Mooresville Suicide Prevention Working Task Force and group, as well as being a part of the town of Mooresville's Community Relations Committee. These opportunities have fueled my desire even more to be involved in our town, bridge relationships, and cultivate growth as we move forward. As many of the people have said earlier, we know growth is something that's there. It's what we do with it, how we control it, how we look at it, and how it's effective moving forward. Although Mooresville has been a desired location for many people, you have a lake that brings a lot of people in. We're very thankful for that. I think there's a great untapped opportunity to work and more work to be done in our community. And for that, I'm very grateful for the opportunity to sit here before you, and would appreciate your support in your vote.
Well, good evening, everyone. I am Commissioner Houston. I have been serving this town my whole life. I'm a lifetime member of this community. I'm a graduate of Mooresville Senior High, one of the first integrated class, second in 1970. So 57 plus, since I was a student at Mooresville Senior High. And I'm also married. My wife is Bella. I have one daughter, Rosalind, and one granddaughter. So I'm a house full of ladies. So I know how to take demands. So I've been on, I was first, every position I've had in Mooresville, I was appointed. I was appointed as a planning board, but first heard somebody knock on my door, can you take this position? No, I don't want it. So I was on the planning board for 8 years. Then the guy knocked on my door after those 8 years to say, I got a position as a commissioner. I'm stepping down. Will you take it for the year, fill a year? So I filled it for a year, and that was in 2006. So I've really been on this board for 17 years. But my career is with Duke Energy. I worked for Duke Energy 40 years. I've been married 50 years, just made a field. So I'm a long-time person. I'm committed to what I do. And that's why I think I'm the best candidate for this, because when I'm committed and I got a passion and a love, this is my home. I love this town. I love this town about as much as I love my wife. Because this is where I was born. This is where I raised my family, and I want my family to stay here. My daughter still lives here. So I want my granddaughter, when she gets through college, that we have good jobs, nice homes, and good infrastructure that she can be able to stay here also.
My name is Will Avon. I am a 6th generation Mooresville native. Unfortunately did not go to high school here due to the fact that my father was a minister and we traveled. But summers were always in Mooresville. Mooresville was always home my entire life. And I moved back here about 6 years ago and took over the family home that we've had since 1914. I am on the Historic Preservation Commission, the Mooresville Museum Board. History is a big part of my focus and my passion. Maintaining the history of our area is very important to me. Growth is also a part of that, and having a good structure for that growth that pays attention to the history of a town is extremely important to me moving forward. Infrastructure, we've got to get a hold of it. Obviously, I sit in the same traffic everybody else does, and it makes me crazy every single day. So there's got to be ways that we can look at that and take care of it. Why am I qualified? I feel like, I've asked that question 100 times. The main thing is, I feel like when I decided to do this, my question was, can I do anything to make anything different? I feel like listening is the #1 thing that you can do as a person on a board position. Listen to the people and do your best to make things different. And that's what I'm going to do. Thank you.
is Chris Carney, and I'm running for the mayor's seat. And I would hope to be at least somewhat of a familiar name to you. I've served as your town commissioner from 2005 to 2009. I was unanimously appointed to be your mayor pro tem by Thurman and the other board members in 2009. And then when Senator Forster died, I was asked to go to North Carolina Senate and serve as your senator. I served as the vice chair of transportation when I was down in Raleigh, and some of you might remember, that's when we started actually getting a lot of movement on moving road projects forward. Gray Mills was also a chair in the House, and so we were able to start bringing some of Mooresville's concerns down to Raleigh. And let nobody fool you, how your mayor works in Raleigh is the difference maker. That is it. Your mayor will come back and break a tie occasionally. Some mayors break a lot more than others, but the biggest thing you can expect from them is they're going to go down and advocate for you with the federal and state dollars. And that is what I did as your mayor pro tem, and that's what I did as your senator. I'll tell you what, obviously I'm very fortunate. I want to first give a shout out to Jamie and Michael. First interview I ever did running for office was Michael. I was a 30-couple-year-old guy with brown hair and running because, as Frank Owens loves to say, he's the one that got me to run for office because I came to a town board meeting and they beat up on somebody and I thought, man, that wasn't right. I filed my $5 and ran for office. And so he obviously just, you know, he didn't really, he just saw the piece of property a different way than I did. I'm so thankful for my wife. She's been through this. We've had 10 years out of public service. We've enjoyed, we have 3 beautiful kids. We're going to have been married for 27 years next month. Tonight I want to talk to you about two very different visions between 2 very different candidates. And I hope you'll pay attention because how you vote will make a huge difference in the Mooresville our children inherit. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. My name is Bobby Compton. I've served this community for 49 years, 43 years in local government, all right here in the town of Mooresville. I started at the age of 18 with Mooresville Fire Rescue. Spent 31 years there promoting life safety, property conservation, and teaching fire safety. 6 years after that was as a cabin cook funeral home as visitation manager and serving families during time of bereavement. Again, serving citizens of Mooresville. In the last 12 years as Commissioner at Large for the town of Mooresville, pushing public safety, economic growth, and citizen involvement. As Commissioner, I'm liaison to the Downtown Commission, Historic Preservation, Stormwater Commission, Public Safety Committee, Bike Plan Committee, Public Art Committee. I'm also Chairman of the Central Iowa Regional Council that encompasses 9 counties and 55 cities and towns. We are very heavily involved in transportation, including the town of Mooresville. This is the hub of it. So as Chairman, I'm very heavily involved with that. And you got to do this by collaboration, which is what we do. I was named the Main Street Champion by North Carolina Department of Commerce, and I have my graduate of municipal administration course and advanced leadership core, both at UNC School of Government. And thank you for letting me be here.
Okay, yeah, I should have pointed out, you guys up there, there is a cooler of cold water that we brought back behind the curtain. I'm sorry, I didn't mention that earlier.
Is there gonna be a bathroom break?
We are gonna get a bathroom break. We're gonna try to take it at an appropriate time. But yes, Frank Owens has made sure of that. He's held me to the fire on it, trust me. A stretch break. We will. Okay. There was something else I was gonna say. Okay, for everybody in the audience, in case we didn't mention it, I want to point out we've got 2 mayoral candidates, 2 Ward 2, 6 at large, and then Eddie, who's Ward 1, who gave up his time for these folks. So, we're going to get right to it. We're going to come out of the door. And this question is going to be for the mayoral. Can I ask you, are you Ton? Is it Ton pronounced? Tone. Perfect. Thank you. Well, we're going to start with the mayoral candidates. Here's how I'm going to do this. I'm going to ask the full question. And then if the second person that answers needs me to repeat any of the question, I will. But I kind of am going to frame it some. So the town of Mooresville has experienced rapid growth in recent years, and many of our roads are congested with traffic. This is more than a nuisance, it's a danger to motorists and pedestrians. Commissioner Compton, you recently voted in favor of a 100-acre high-density residential development on Transco Road near Langtree. Why? Then I would ask Mr. Carney, would you have supported this development? Why or why not? And then one more for the both of you. More generally, how is your position on this particular project informed by your overall philosophy on what the town needs to do to properly manage growth? Yes, Compton, I'm sorry, you go first.
Okay,
Sorry,
thank
that's
you,
my bad.
thank you. May have to have you repeat some of that, but let me go ahead and get started, make sure I get this right. You brought up the Transco Road project and why I voted for it.
Yeah.
Now, this last vote, I voted against it, so you're going back a few months.
The beginning,
Okay,
yes.
because originally, when I was put before the board, it was very positive to most of the board members at that time. And then we were looking at the project itself because we owned a piece of it to put a road through. There's gonna be some parking involved with that, access. And again, the East-West Connector played a lot of that, which so far has not turned out very well to this point. Back then, though, we were very positive as what might happen with that. Also, I was looking at the tax base. Mooresville's done very well because as a commissioner, during the 12 years I've been on, we have not had a tax increase. In fact, we lowered it 10 cents for this year because of that reevaluation. But aside from that, I looked at the tax base and how we can keep taxes down. That project would have brought $1 million to the town of Mooresville for its tax base. Also played into that, reason I voted for it the first time, as I touted on earlier, was fire safety. We're supposed to have a fire department in that area, but some people in this room had it pulled from Lotus Home Improvement who donated that land. 20 years ago, they were going to donate the same piece of land to us, and it fell through. They were going to do it again early this year, and some people in this room had to pull it because they didn't want that project. Thus, I voted no because there was no fire protection on there. And what was the other part of your question?
See if I can stop. Oh, you can't hear me. The other part of my question is, more generally, how is your position on this particular project informed by your overall philosophy on what the town needs to do to properly manage growth?
That's supposed to be in part of the East-West Connector phase of it. And then we have plans, transportation plans for some Langtree Road improvements. It's just the future of Mooresville. It's not what happens happening today. What's going to happen when none of us are sitting here anymore? You're not here anymore. All these people, they moved away or they're dead. So I look at the future of Mooresville and all that happens right now. Thank you.
Do you need me to repeat any part of the question?
Let's give it a run.
I will give it a run. Would you have supported this development? Why or why not? And more generally, how is your position on this particular project informed by your overall philosophy on what the town needs to do to properly manage growth?
Well, that's an easy answer because no, I would not have supported it. It was 570 apartments that didn't bring anything else to it. It didn't bring the East-West Connector. And to be fair, this is the interesting part, East-West Connector. We brought all those properties. I sat in the room with those groups as a private citizen. We came together to help plan how that area would come through. Yes, it would have some housing, but still had a lot of corporate and retail in there. Going forward with apartments was never the first step. First of all, we went to DC. Lisa Qualls is here. I'm not sure who else is in the room because we can't see them. We went to DC as a private citizen to go get that grant. My counterpart didn't go. I went up there to beg for money from the federal government. Then when we knew it was going to come short, I went to the state and asked them for $5 million. I have text from the town asking, hey, can you help us? Go get money because we're going to come up short. Then we still paid about $12 million. So as they move forward on that project, $12 million of taxpayers' money was going to be needed to finish that road. And without the road, guess where all that traffic had to do? That a U-turn on Lowe's campus. So instead of putting innuendos, Lowe's had every right to be upset about 3,500 cars turning around on their campus. They're generous. They've given $500,000 to charities. Debbie and I, we all worked on just getting them to give money to South Elementary School to give a park. They are one of the best corporations in America. And we didn't even dare to go up to them and fill them in on what was going on. That is where that project went sideways. One of the best corporations, top 30 in the country, had a right to be upset about how traffic was going to move in front of their campus. So again, less apartments, more jobs. That's my growth strategy. Industrial and commercial before apartments.
Okay, the next question is going to go to Mr. Carp and Mr. Owens. What is your plan? This is only going to the two of you. What is your plan to attract and create high-paying local jobs to keep up with all the housing developments? Mr. Carp, we'll start with you.
Thank you for the question. When you look at high-paying jobs in corporate, you've got to make and build a community that is business-friendly. If we're known for putting up walls to permitting or rezoning issues for businesses, people are going to go somewhere else. Businesses are going to go somewhere else. So that's the first thing that you have to do, is look at the rules and regulations we have in this town and make sure that we're addressing the issue of who is welcome here and who is subtly being rejected. Same with commercial. The problem is if you completely deny residential, the people, the rooftops are what fund the businesses. Where are the people who come into these businesses going to live if we don't equally have enough available residential for them to live in? Whether it's apartments, whether it's multifamily, whether it's single family, we can't completely shut that down. It has to be balanced growth and smart growth to bring those businesses in as a community, not just a place for someone to live somewhere else and come here to work. That's going to drive traffic.
Okay, Mr. Owens, can you give me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
Happy to. What is your plan to attract and create high-paying local jobs to keep up with all the housing developments?
I think one thing we need to do in recruiting businesses here for this town that we all love so much is we need a place for them to be. We need buildings for them to have to place their jobs in. And one of the things, we need to improve our infrastructure, the traffic and terrible streets and everything, red lights here. We need for them to want to come here and live here and be a part of our town. We just don't have the infrastructure to have a lot more, and just because we're going to build, it's a long time before the people will be here to live here and work here. We need to look at it first.
Thank you.
Can I have a quick follow-up?
We do follow up? How long is
Just a quick one. Give me 2 minutes. Because that's important, because that's all going back to, we started with a One Mooresville plan back in, I think, 2017, 2018, which I sat on that committee. It needs to be updated and revised, no question. So you have to stay with the plan, but driving traffic means you put more amenities closer to the business sections, so people don't have to get on the road to go grocery shopping and drive 10 or 15 minutes or miles, however you want to define it. So smart planning says, yes, we need to bring some of this amenities to where the business centers are going to be. Otherwise, people are just going too far and traveling too much to get to what they need and want just to maintain life. Thank you.
Can I follow up?
Sure. That's my engineering background.
Good. I'm glad we have an engineer here. Okay, let's talk about jobs. How about 5,000 jobs? Maybe $6,000, $7,000 jobs. The 535 acres that the town owns, that's out by where Penske is, I think that land should be split up into 1.5, 2-acre, and 3-acre lots. I tried to buy some of that land. It's not for sale. You have to put up a huge building. Well, I think it was broken up. That could create thousands of jobs, which would be good. Secondarily, we have a 100-acre development with 570 apartments. Well, we don't need 570 more apartments. They're all going to be unaffordable anyway. Why not make them affordable? How about that? How about making them so 40% of income works, and let's fill up Langtree with 40% of median income at about 60, 70 grand, as opposed to 80%, which is a joke. Anyway, we're talking about roads, Department of Transportation. Well, Department of Transportation is a nightmare and Raleigh doesn't like us. And tax increases. Taxes used to increase every 8 years, now they increase every 4 years. Who decided that? The people should be held accountable. Everyone should be held accountable. By the way, last Sunday, on the 10th, this was in the Mooresville Tribune. This was about 3 errors. These 3 errors are being pushed under the rug. There's 3 errors, but there's no disclosure that there was 3 errors, and I think they date back to 2002. I spoke to the town attorney. I texted her, spoke to her. She knows nothing about it. I don't understand how 3 errors can be just swept under the rug. But I think those 3 errors that might date back to 2002 are a serious problem, and no one is accountable. And I don't think, with all due respect, sir, I appreciate your service, I don't think our streets are terrible. I think they're nice. But they're gonna be terrible, because we don't have $500 million to fix them. Why am I qualified? Because I'm very curious.
Thank you. Okay, so, it's just as an FYI, if you guys have seen me kind of on my phone a little bit, I'm not ignoring you, I'm listening, but I've got some technological issues happening, so I'm trying to get passwords sent here and there, and okay, I'm so sorry. We're gonna try to get that, because there are tons of people who want to listen to you guys who are not here. We wanna make sure we give everybody the opportunity. I am listening back. Okay, so now we will move to a question for Mr. Kinahan and Ms. Stutz. What role do you think the town should play in managing or restricting growth? And what legally available tools would you like to see the town use to carry this out?
Okay, well, that's a great question. Growth, that's a big word here. A lot of people coming to Mooresville. Mooresville was nominated the fastest growing town in North Carolina. I don't know if we should be proud of that or angry about it. Our infrastructure, that's the biggest thing we need to control before we control anything else. And to answer part of their question, you want to entice business, you need to fix the infrastructure because business won't come. And we gotta stop giving developers all this property because we're not gonna have anything left for commercial to build on. It's just gonna be homes and apartments. So I think we need to review the UDO, the One Mooresville plan. They need to be re-looked over and figured out how we can maybe restrict or slow down developers from developing and overdeveloping and overusing our roads. Like I said, our 150 is a disaster, and in the holidays, forget about it. The people that go over to Target and all that stuff, you're in that shopping center for 2 hours. It's absurd, absurd.
So, do you need me to repeat the question? What role do you think the town should play in managing or restricting growth? And what legally available tools would you like to see the town use to carry this out?
Like Mr. Kinahan said, I do believe we need to relook at the one development plan and the zoning that we currently have in place. We also probably need to take a look at rezoning for higher density, which helps create some of the issues that we have on the roads that we're dealing with now. As Chris mentioned, we really need to rely on our state, right? If the laws don't make sense to support the municipalities, we're kind of spinning our wheels. If we're continuing to approve developmental growth, rezoning into higher density, but we're not getting the support from the state to allow for the infrastructure improvements that they promised us, we can't continue to circle in this pattern. The state says we can't do a moratorium because we would have to be responsible for the outcome. Well, the outcome relies on the state, right? The state's already made those commitments to enhance the infrastructure in the roads on 150, Williamson Road, Raleigh School Road. Year after year, and you can sit and listen to these developments being approved based on those commitments from the state that never happened. So I think that's part of it. We need to work closely with the state to make sure that the laws that are in place make sense or allow for the municipalities to have a little bit more flexibility about what concerns their citizens. We also probably need to look at, if a moratorium's not the answer or a pause, maybe a possibility of looking at some other options. Impact fees, like other cities across the country have. Something that makes the development have a little bit more of a vested interest in the growth that they're bringing to our area.
Thank you. And, Mr. Kirker, I think we're gonna ask you that same question. I will repeat it. What role do you think the town should play in managing or restricting growth, and what legally available tools would you like to see the town use to carry this out?
Thank you. I think, honestly, I don't have anything we haven't already said. I think that's what happens when we have multiple people answer. We're gonna say the same things. We're looking at, we have to be honest with where our growth is at, how do we control it? I think the thing that, to me, the elephant in the room is, we say infrastructure, but we haven't defined infrastructure. Infrastructure is far greater than just roads. I think we have to look at what things we are doing and have done as a town in areas outside of just roads. That is a huge part, but it's not the whole part of infrastructure. I agree, we need to look at our plans. If they need to be updated, revised, we do that strategically. We pull that together, and then we align our strategic plan with those.
Thank you. This question will go to the Ward 2 candidates, Mr. Houston and Mr. Avon. During several recent storms, power has repeatedly gone out in the same areas of downtown Mooresville. This has financially impacted numerous locally owned businesses and put the safety of residents and motorists at risk. What are the ways the town can address this? Do you believe it's important to require Duke Energy to make the downtown grid more stable and resistant to storms? If there are no ongoing discussions with Duke Energy, what would you do if elected or re-elected to address this? We'll go with you.
Well, I have a history with Duke Power. and I'm on that circuit that was out. And I got a call from some people said, well, Thurman, when you was working, we didn't go out there. So I'm using that as a humor though, but by knowing and experience, I don't think most of our outages was caused by nature. It was caused by lightning. It was caused by trees falling. There's no rule behind how you fix that, because we do have a good relationship through the town with the relationship with the court. They are a very good partner with us, keep us very informed on things that's happening. But I think a lot of those big outages came from substation stuff. A lot of work's going on, and I think they had a lot of faulty equipment. And everybody knows it's hard to get transformers and capacitors, but it's hard to get. I was off 2 days, and I never, my late Hugo, I went off for 3 hours. And so, you know, I see a difference, but it goes with the growth, it goes with the power surge, it goes with a lot of energy being taken by these storms. Most of these outages, because I still have to talk to the guys that work in the field, and a lot of this was really caused by nature. It was God's work, and it was nothing they could really do but replace the damage. And you can't go to the substation and fix something without killing a lot. A lot of people thought because they were doing maintenance. But we have a good relationship. They keep us informed and things going on, and they keep you up to date on what's going on with the fire department. So I think we got a good relationship, but I don't know. We can try to see what better we can do with them on reporting outages. I'll give us more in-depth or good time in getting us back up.
Do you need a question reviewed?
Yeah, I think I'm good. So I was also on that grid as well, and without power for, I guess it was almost 24 hours, a little over 24 hours. I'm an insulin-dependent diabetic, so it's very important to have power for me, to have refrigeration. And it's important for our businesses in our downtown sector to have power, reliable power, for security purposes, for the same reasons, refrigeration. I can't imagine what the restaurants had to throw out in that period. I agree that nature did play a major role in this last outage. However, I also think that the town should be very in-depth and involved with Duke Power with these cut-ins of these new very large apartment complexes that are coming in downtown. What is that doing to our grid? Is it overloading things? Do we have systems that maybe should be replaced, but they're getting us by currently? And that's the kind of thing that we need to look at for the security of our downtown area and for the security of the town as a whole. Because all of these apartment complexes being cut into grids that may or may not have the infrastructure, again, to take care of that. So back to what Mr. Carragher was saying, it's not just the apartments and these big developments coming in affecting the roads, it affects everything. It affects our power, our water. Every structure, everything that supports our community is affected by big growth. And so we need to be focused on dealing with those utilities to make sure that they're up to the task.
Thank you. Okay, you have something?
The one thing, and this is a tech, we have a lot of ring up here. If he could adjust that a little bit. It may not bother anyone else, but there's a lot of ring and backfill.
I think it's going from one mic to the other. That's what's happening. Okay, we're gonna ask this question across the board, and I think you guys have gotten the longest break with your voices, maybe, I don't know, but I'm starting with you anyway, how about that? And then we'll just start with you, Mr. Compton, and work down here. Okay, we're doing some skipping around to save time, so forgive me. The town of Mooresville is about to hire a new town manager. What qualities will you be looking for in this new manager, and what role do you think the board has in making sure its new manager is executing his or her duties in a manner that is consistent with the wishes of the town board and the community at large?
There's a job description, distinct job description for town manager, plus his duties must be by the ICMA, that's the International City Manager Association. There are special qualities that a manager goes by. If they're not vested in that and do not go by that, then they don't get a job as a manager, especially in Mooresville. I can't speak for other places. So, plus they have to be familiar with the growing community, probably bigger than ours, but the same type of similarities that we have with infrastructure issues, just as already been stated, and traffic congestion. Everything we have going on here, we'd like a manager that has experience or is experiencing those kind of things, so he can just fit right in and know what to do to help solve these problems.
If any of you going down the line need me to repeat the question, please let me know. Otherwise, just keep trucking.
That's a fantastic question. And obviously, those of us who've been in this position before understand how difficult it is to hire a manager. When I was on the board, Thurman will remember this, we actually had the manager of Cary that was gonna come here, and it got disrupted because somebody decided to leak it out and it put him in a bad spot and we had to turn down the job. When we define our next manager, we better keep a few things in mind. First of all, we better go hunting with a rifle, not a shotgun. Going out to the world and just asking for everybody's rejects is a terrible way to get a manager. We go to the best cities in North Carolina, we go let them know we want them, and then we go pay for them. Because guess what? That's the best money spent. We waste more money on bad decisions at the management level. And to be fair, I appreciate Bobby likes the current manager, and I'm sorry, we gotta talk about this. That new contract would have sat with this new board with $900,000 if the guy if we had not been happy with him. That's unfair to put on the next group. Holding your manager accountable, they must have a customer service attitude back to the citizens. That's the most important thing. You are the reason they have a job. You are the reason they get a paycheck. So at the end of the day, we must demand on our manager to understand that's what they come in with. They gotta come with the right attitude. And Bobby made a great point. You need to hire a manager with whip marks. They need to come in and have experienced it before and understand the mistakes they've made and have a chance to relive that life. That's exactly what we're gonna do. We're gonna go after one of the top 3 managers in North Carolina, make sure we get them to come here and they're gonna understand what you do with roads, how you go get companies that wanna be here, and how you deal with growth. And growth isn't new. Frank got 100% growth when he was a commissioner. We got 80-something% growth when we were. We've been growing for a long time, y'all. This isn't new, okay? It's just the difference is we grew, we're #1 in the country 8 straight years in bringing jobs here. #1 in the country. That is not the Mooresville you're seeing right now. Thank you very much, appreciate it.
So just touching said, obviously, the person needs to be qualified to do the job. They need to understand the problems that we have as a town and how to face those. I think the one thing that I would add is that I would expect a town manager to be able to fulfill their position without having personal vendettas. Politics should not be personal. Town managers should not have personal issues with the citizens of the town. If they do, they should be like a board member and recuse themselves from that issue and let somebody else handle it.
Thank you. I go along with basically what everyone said, is that I'm looking for a town manager that's gonna be qualified to come here and have some of the same qualities that we as board have lived on, is that's serving each other. We need someone that's gonna come here and listen to you all. We can have them, but they need to listen to the community he's gonna serve, and hear the things that need to be done. Because, honestly, I don't know how many town managers I've been through going through a hire process, but it's 3 or 4. And it's not an easy job, and we try to have a good hire firm that can put someone, some of the top 3s, Chris was saying, that come to here, but we have to pay them out. We have to get that town manager that have a feel of Mooresville. You live here, we know what we feel about Mooresville. I know what I feel about Mooresville. I know when I walk downtown, I know what I wanna see. I know when I walk out and I talk to one of y'all, that we can have a conversation and move away. But I also wanna know that I wanna be able to have this manager can come say, you know, this rule ain't right, but you know, maybe we can fix that. Common sense. Common sense. Maybe it's the way that we can get by this and everybody's satisfied. And I think we lost some of that, and I think we need to pick it back up, that we need to listen to you, not the people that you bring in from all over different states. And I think we need local people sometimes that know what local people need in North Carolina, that know the rules, know the regulations. So I think that we're gonna have some good candidates, and I hope there will be an opportunity that some of y'all get to meet them before we make that final decision, because I think that's the person that's going to be running our town, and I think we need to know them too, and that was it.
Comment on the town managerial.
We're gonna keep it down the line. Hang on one second.
Thank you.
Absolutely, yes. Mr. Gifford, do you need me to repeat it?
I'm good. I think Mr. Compton made a great point here. We have a job description. There's some legalities we have to follow. We know that. Barney's made a great point. We have to go out and get the right person. We can't have a very targeted here. We have to go out and get the right person with experience that has an understanding of what our town is about. We'll listen to the people of our town, not just the people sitting up here as people sitting at a board meeting, but the people of town in general that has a customer service experience, have an open door policy where you can get to them and talk to them, interact with them, and get answers from them, as well as understanding growth, has integrity, has character, and understands how to work the problem.
I agree with everyone. It's gonna be the same answers. We definitely need to search, and we definitely need to look outside, like I said, of one targeted area. We need the person who best suits our needs. That person works for each and every one of you, okay? And that's been a big problem. We need to have transparency. They need to communicate that to our people. We haven't done that also. So we need that right person, maybe from a larger city that understands transportation, public utilities, all that stuff that we're talking about with infrastructure. You need that person because they are the leader of our town employees that are out there fixing your sewers, cleaning your streets. You know, they need to have a full understanding of what you people need, and that's what we hope we hire.
Interesting question. Before I get started, I just want to throw out, it's not my question, but I live on McNeely Avenue, and the biggest tree I think I've seen in my lifetime was down across that road taking out power. And I just want to shout out to the people who worked for a day and a half to get that thing cut off the street, and the school's open. So we may have some great issues as we grow not because people aren't trying. So with that said, you know, experience matters, there's no question about it. But part of our responsibility in serving the community, if we're gonna hire and pay for somebody with the experience wherever they come from, we need to do a little better job, in my opinion, of listening to their ideas and their experience, because we're growing, we're in uncharted waters for this town, and people who have all the experience, they can listen to you, but we gotta listen to them as well. All communication goes both ways, and we can learn from them as much as they will learn from us. And I think that's important, that we hire someone that knows how to communicate with the community about what their thoughts are, and then we can decide the best strategy or best plan to implement. But if we just tell them what to do and they have marching orders, I think we're gonna miss some huge opportunities in our growth. Thank you. Yeah, I would do that. Back to my engineering career.
Okay. I think this whole diatribe about getting a town manager is wrong. It's not a matter of a town manager. We need a town managerial committee of 5 people with a town manager and 4 other people, some people who are farmers, somebody who works in Burger King. We need regular people and educated people in the town. Finding one person to run this whole town is like throwing darts at a dartboard. You throw the wrong dart, you don't hit the dartboard, you're gonna have a bad manager for another 3 years who's gonna get up and leave for no disclosed reason. Town manager needs to know the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, why, and how much. The town CFO needs to know about all the debt. And we will listen. Well, I'm sure we'll listen to 3 minutes and then do nothing, because that's what happens in town hall meetings. I witnessed the town hall meeting the other day. That was this Monday, when one of the 3 errors here that nobody wants to talk about, that really needs to be investigated, there's a good reason to stop everything. All plans, all permits, everything should just stop. Right now, everything stop until we find out what these 3 errors are that could be 20 years old. This is a travesty. I have no axe to grind. I don't have any Billy Bob friend. I don't have any contractor friends. I don't have any of that. The bidding process. We get 3 bids and we get hammered on every bid. There should be 9 bidders and 30% of it would be minorities. I have a lot more to say. It's just the tip of the iceberg.
And then I can follow that. So, you know, I agree, experience is a must, and we obviously have certain qualifications that we have to make sure that we have in a town manager. I think it's also important that we fully vet that town manager and take a listen to what others have had to say about their experiences with them. As Chris mentioned, we don't want to just go out and randomly start advertising for a town manager and starting to get other towns' rejects to fill that position. I think in addition to their experience, we really need to look at the honesty and integrity behind them. What type of ethical and moral standards do they have when they're making decisions, and transparency? Not basically going after, like we said, private citizens when they don't agree, making things that businesses run in the community a personal vendetta, and make sure they go out of their way to bring those issues to the forefront of the citizens. That's not really what we're here for. We expect more of our town leaders, whether it be a board of commissioner, a mayor, or a town manager, an assistant manager, or a planning manager, right? We expect better, because that's what we're employing them for. So in addition to their experience and qualifications, we just need to make sure that they also can handle town business in an ethical and transparent manner, to make sure that we're all feeling like we're a part of the community and we're heard.
I think I agree with most of what most have said, but my thing, we need a city manager, like I say, who is experienced and is personal, and you can contact if you need to talk to him. Have you tried to call the city manager? If you do, you can call President Biden first, quicker than him, but you don't get it. And we want a city manager that knows what's going on in town. Any city manager we get sitting in his office is not gonna know what's going on except hearsay. He or she needs to get out in the community. They need to go to a convenience store, to Isabel's or Corinne's. If you don't think the damn public won't tell you, he's got another thing coming to you. So that's what we need to do. We need one who treats every business the same. Every business, whether you're large or like this young man back in the back trying to run his business. We need somebody that will be fair to each and every one, regardless of the size of their business. Thank you.
Okay, guys, this one, we're gonna do another one down the line, and then we're gonna see if we can't take a break after this
This will
one.
be 30 seconds.
What's that?
30 seconds.
No, not this time.
Okay.
Listen though, you can always defer your answer, like when we get to a question, if you wanna give your 2 minutes to that other thing, feel free.
All I wanted to say is that I'm going to
Okay, so this one is, more of my own personal experience. I personally have witnessed a marked distancing, between the town and its people, and it sounds like some of you are mentioning the same thing, in recent years. As most of you know, I've covered this government in some capacity for 20 years. As recently as 4 years ago, town staff, while they may not have liked it, treated me kindly, welcoming me into public buildings and working with me, sometimes for an entire week at a time on accessing records that belong to the public. I recall a recent time when I was in finance for a week, this was 4 years ago, and packed snacks of pepperoni and pickles and cheese every single day. The staff was polite and courteous, even though they probably did not want me there. And they even occasionally asked if I needed anything when they went to lunch. Things have changed a lot. I have now waited months, and some people have reported waiting a year for records that belong to the public. Is this acceptable to you? If it is, why? If it is not, what do you think the town needs to do to address and correct it?
Which way do you want to start?
You want to start this way? Let's move down. Okay, thank y'all. See you in line.
I think, Jamie, that they're treating you wrong, and I don't know how many other people, I've heard other people say that they cannot get information they need, even back, your garbage and stuff, that people just don't get back to you. I don't know if they need Lizon or somebody that you can call that'll work for you to try to get the information. I think they have, some of these people up there, like you said, are great, fantastic people. The ones that you see every day are pleasant. I mean, like the ladies in the town office where you pay your water bill, and then the lobby and stuff, real nice. It's the people behind the rooms that you have a problem with. Trying to get information from them, I don't want to say what I want to say, but it's hard to get the information, and it needs to improve. I don't know what the board needs to do, but if I'm on it, I'll sure make a notion to get it done.
So public information, it should be available and readily available to everybody that asks for it. It's not an easy task. I know I have filled out my own FOIA request, and it took several weeks for the town to get back to me. It was a simple request. I do think we need to do better. I think that if we're transparent in how we're behaving, and if everybody is behaving the way they should, there should not be a question about getting those records, right? You shouldn't have to drag your feet and hem and haw through what you're gonna get and what needs to be retracted before it goes out to the public. I think larger requests obviously may take some time. The town employees responsible for that, they probably also have other responsibilities that need to be handled. but in no time should it take several months to get a simple request back. And there shouldn't be any animosity for asking for that information. It shouldn't be put into public text messages, public emails, or in closed sessions that would come to light and you would be embarrassed about it. What's said and done in the dark always comes to light. So I think that we do need to make sure that they are held accountable to produce those documents in a very timely manner and be very upfront with them when they come through.
I apologize for interrupting earlier, but I get emotional. I think a lot of this is emotional issues. However, pragmatically, a lot of stuff is not getting done properly. I think these 5 people I'm competing against are some of the finest people in this town. And I want their support when I win. And when people come before me and I'm on town committee, they're not going to just get 3 minutes, they're going to get 5 minutes, and they're going to submit written opinions. And I'm going to try and attempt to mandate that they get a written reply within 30 days using Senate Confirmation Committee pro forma formation. So it goes in writing, it comes back in writing, and people communicate, and it's all public record. Nothing behind closed doors except proprietary and confidential information. Now, I will hold people accountable. I'll probably have some enemies. Maybe I'll make some friends. That's why all these business cards that are lined up on this stage here have 2 sides to them. The front side is vote for me. The back side has 9 locations where to vote. And I've got thousands of these cards. So if you don't want to vote for me, vote for somebody, but don't not vote. If you don't vote, don't complain.
I know you'll support me when I win. First of all, the question was a yes/no question, if I remember correctly. So no, it's not okay. So with that said, communication is huge. And this town is, in my opinion, not very good at doing it, whether it's rezoning issues, whether it's getting a permit in a quick amount of time and what would be holding it up, any of the issues, the town has got to take the lead in open communication and timely communication. You can list all the issues in individual cases, but that's the bottom line. It's our responsibility, and as we grow, it's going to be more important. By the way, the new permitting office here instead of Statesville is a great step in speeding up the process. But there's more work to be done. That's only a first step. I hear all the time in talking to small business owners, I'd like to do something, but I can't get the permit. I can't even get somebody out here to look at the job to give me the permit. And that is unacceptable. It will not make us small business friendly. It won't grow business, period. It won't help us grow in any form or matter. So that's one of the things, and one of my platforms is we gotta communicate better, because so many problems get solved if people are communicating with each other. You get to the bottom line, there's always 2 sides, there's always a solution or a resolution if you're talking to each other.
Yes, I agree with one thing Mr. Tone, the 3 minutes in a town board meeting is not long enough. You just barely get enough time to give your name and what your topic is. And I know they're not gonna be there all night, or don't wanna be there all night. We have had meetings before we go to 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. But I think it needs to be extended to 5 minutes and have a max of how many people can talk. Maybe 6 people is the max. And very seldom is there that many speakers, more times just 1 or 2. But 3 minutes is just not enough to get your point across on any topic. And that's my opinion on that.
Okay, public information. Yes, you should not have to wait for it Well, with the new administration, I think you're gonna see a lot of great changes. No matter who wins, you're gonna see some great changes here. And I think it would be the board and the future mayor to sit down with the department heads and re-educate them and their people to say, hey, 3 weeks, 4 weeks is too long for public information to get to these people. This stuff needs to be time sensitive and gotten to those people in a timely manner. Thank you.
I would agree with that. We have a policy in place that says 14 days. We need to adhere to our policy or we need to change our policy.
I agree also, but also as a sitting commissioner, this is the first time I heard that you wasn't getting any information. That is why I'm a Ward 2 commissioner. We supposed to call our commissioner, our large commissioners, if you're not getting what, how do you correct anything if you don't communicate the problem that you have? And so that's where I stand with that. Communication also comes from you too. If something is not working that you have a problem with, then that's why we're sitting here today to represent that part of your community. I mean, I'm Ward 2, but I'm a citizen, I'm a commissioner, and I support 55,000 people, not just Ward 2. So if you have an issue, you can call me at any time, and I can get back and see why you're having a problem with that. But also, the town must know it's having a big problem because you're getting so many of them, because right now, we are working on how to get these things out. We just opened up a new center, and some of the stuff that we're talking about is already in the process. We talked about permits, that was Statesville, that was Mooresville. Permits now is gonna be worked out more where we can have a better communication, where we can get those processes out. We are working on those issues right now, this day, and been working on them, but now we have changed, talk about traffic. But no, it's not acceptable not to get you with Jacksonville. And I don't want to get off track on something else, but we talked about traffic, we talked about this, we just also just did a police department, we're gonna put a traffic impact accident in it, where we can operate these, like the DOT give us the right, we can't touch state stuff, but we're trying to get that process, we're working with this DOT.
It's unacceptable. That's the first part of your question. It's unacceptable. Second thing that we can do is if our government is transparent, those requests would be minimized. Therefore, that department would have a lot more time to get to the request in a timely fashion, in my opinion. Transparency in government is something that is one of my founding beliefs. We have to have it. We as a people really need to start remembering that the government is beholden to the people, not the other way around. Our government is supposed to work for us. It is supposed to be what protects us and helps us in our daily lives, not throws obstacles in the way of that growth in our daily lives. So the transparency of this government, especially if I'm elected, will be there. Thank you.
So I appreciate the question, and obviously it's a problem, and the bigger issue is that's a symptom of a disease. The disease is that we no longer feel accountable to you. We currently have a culture problem, and that culture starts at the top. A service culture starts at the top, where people realize that sometimes your elected body is exactly what you need to protect the citizens from its government and from the egos that get involved in some of these things. Thurman and I talked about this, we laughed about how frustrating it is. Even something as simple as the way we put ropes up between us and the community at a meeting. What's that tell you? You're no longer welcome to come up and shake my hand? Come on. I mean, I go to your house door to door and ask you to vote, and then I say you can't come up and give me your 2 cents after a board meeting because I want to rope it off. We have to get back to being servant leaders. We are in the service industry, and you are our customer. So again, I would hope that we would abide by that, but let's be fair. Y'all, we have 3 lawyers working for Mooresville and a paralegal. Troutman, part-time lawyer. Statesville, part-time. Iredell County, part-time. One in Davidson, one in Huntersville, one in Cornelius. We have 3 attorneys and a paralegal. And currently, I think they have 7 lawsuits sitting on their desk. There's a lot more going on. Again, we have a disease problem that we need to get our hands around. And that starts again at the top with setting the right culture and demanding. We've got so many great employees, but you gotta remember, you have to inspect what you expect, right? So you have to be willing to go into the departments and talk to them and remind them of how important it is to be service-minded. And I promise you, that next manager we hire will be customer service-minded. Thank you.
I don't believe Mr. Carney actually answered the question. Talk about public records request, and plus you're getting into personnel. Mayors don't get into personnel issues with the town. But there's been a tremendous amount of requests, and people in this room do not understand it. This week, the city attorney said all she did for 2 solid weeks through this week is public records request. She's not getting her job done as attorney. Something else y'all know, they're restructuring staff as we speak to get people in there to speed up this process. An example, Mrs. Gatt, you requested something regarding Mr. Carney and myself. You see, I got a copy of it. How thick that was? That took time. She had to go back to 2011, 2012 for me, and even further back. Even further back for him. So that takes time. You have to go back, way back when he was a commissioner. And so that took a long time to do all that stuff, receipts and all that stuff. So some of the requests takes a lot of time, and then some, for the last month's board meeting, you're right. It should happen fairly quickly, and improvements needed, but they're working on it as we speak with restructuring of staff. Thank you.
I just asked a question since I didn't get that information you did. Ms. Gattens, did you ask for? Can you tell me what you asked for?
Expenses.
Like when we travel?
Yeah, travel.
Expense report when you were commissioner, and then same thing.
Hansi, you know this, you pulled them on before. What do I get when I go out on the town food?
Your philosophy is chicken.
Chicken. I only eat the chicken, because you shouldn't buy me a big steak. I just eat the chicken. Okay, that'll be easy.
I would just like to say thank you that the town is restructuring that. I think Mr. Thompson made a great point there. Clearly, there was a concern with being restructured. I'm thankful that that's happening.
Okay. Everybody, thank you. I appreciate that. Let's take a 10-minute break. Mr. Carricker, that's a lot of case. I just read. What specifically do you think the town has done or should do to create a business-friendly community? Let's start with Kennahan.
Yes, ma'am.
Please.
Well, as a supporter of small business and any business in our town, we need to work with them, whether they're starting out brand new. Again, it goes back to the permitting process and all that stuff. We walk them through all of that. I think, like you said, this new building contractors in permitting is going to be a great asset to us and the people doing so. Without small business, we don't have a town. Small mom and pop places are the people that build towns and communities. You know, and we talk about communities. For all you alumnus, you go out to the high school football field, and there is a granite statue that says, "We are family," and that's what Mooresville is. And I think we've gotten away from that a little bit, but I think we can pull that back together with our businesses. Working in downtown, developing more, there's more and more coming downtown, and it's great to see. Because when I moved here 16 years ago, it wasn't as popular as it once was, and it's great to see on the weekend, Friday, Saturday nights, cars are parked on both sides of the road, businesses are flourishing, it's great to do. So again, go back to infrastructure. You fix the infrastructure, these businesses will come. Who wants to have a business and people can't get down the road or find a parking spot? It's, like I said, it's just what we need. We need this infrastructure and we need these businesses because it helps us all.
Okay, Mr. Clark, do you need to repeat it? Yep.
I'm good. So when you look at business, we're talking about the existing community and the new community, and the number one thing we have to have, in my opinion, is a level playing field. So new businesses look at this town and feel like they can come in here and be the new kid on the block and get the same set of rules and regulations. And it takes out, and it's been said a few times, personality, passions don't belong anywhere in that process. If everybody knows that they're playing by the same set of rules, then I'll look at the number of pizza places we have downtown now, and it keeps growing and growing. All that does is improve the quality of the businesses that we get, because competition breeds improvement, and so the residences of Mooresville get better companies, better services, they just get a better product along the way. So I think that's the number one thing. The other thing is, and we've talked a lot about residential, small businesses in general need rooftops. They need people, whether it's somebody who cuts hair or somebody who has a tavern. You can't expect businesses to come here if we don't bring people here to spend the money in their businesses so that they can be profitable and succeed in that way. And I've been in Mooresville since 2007, and you look at the downtown Main Street and what's on there now versus what was there back then, and it's a perfect example of what growth does to make successful small businesses in this community. That is the best marketing you can have, is when somebody comes in here and sees thriving businesses. Thank you.
I would echo a lot of what was just said there. I think having the one Mooresville building has been huge and will continue to be huge. I think leveling the playing field is very important there. The thing that I would add to what's already been said is continue to work with our chamber. Continue to work with our downtown commission. Continue to work with the area of economic developments. Work with our visitors bureau, the convention bureaus. We're not islands by ourselves. In the communities where we can, develop them in a way that we have bike access, walking access, where we don't have to put all the cars on the roads. In the areas that you can do that. Now, that's not possible in every area, but in the areas that you can, let's utilize that to our advantage.
Thank you. Okay, next question goes to Mr. Tone, Mr. Owens, and Ms. Stetson. We'll just do it in that order, if you guys don't mind. As you probably know, the town has been involved in a months-long dispute with Josh's Farmers Market. Do you believe that the town has behaved properly? If so, why? And if not, what would you do about it once you got on the board?
That's real simple. I would have a very active investigation as to the 5 W's and how much. Who, what, where, when, and why. Who signed paperwork? Who's behind everything? Why is this guy, what did he do wrong? Who did he make angry? What did he do to deserve this? And what is he doing wrong? And how does he keep going? I don't understand it. To me, it's a mystery, and that's the key. I'm very curious. So if I do get elected, I'm very curious. I'm going to ask a lot of questions to a lot of people, including the town attorney, including the town manager, including the town board, including the people that I'm going to serve with, and more importantly, I'm going to solicit opinions from the people.
Who on Josh's
Josh's
market?
market, I think, is being railroaded.
You're right.
Okay. I agree with Mr. Tone. I don't know what the town manager and the planning and zoning department has against Josh Graham. I've known him since he was in diapers. I remember when his daddy used to bring him to ball games and Legion baseball, and he'd take his diaper off and run around the field. But this kid works. I get up early every morning. A lot of times on Facebook at 4:30 in the morning, he's on the way to Georgia or he's on the way to Kentucky to get produce. And for some reason, the town continuously harasses this young man. He got lots of high school kids and college kids. He gives them employment. He takes extra food to feed North Carolina. And he's probably maybe the Waterburger, he's probably the best known business in Mooresville, a small business. And there's no place and no better person than Josh Graham, nowhere in this town.
I've never changed Josh's diapers. Ever. So, I think especially post-COVID, having an open air market has been very beneficial. Unlike, most people don't like to be inside a confined space, especially with COVID ramping back up. I will drive all the way across town to get apple cider donuts, pound cake, frosted Christmas trees, mums, pumpkins, and here lately, blackberries, right? I think that there is a space for Josh's Market. I think that this has felt very personal, as evidenced in some of the grievances that the communications manager for the town of Mooresville, went public, when they found out that there was a petition to save the market, right? And then they started airing all of these grievances against Josh, what they've done, how Josh hasn't done this and he hasn't done that. It wasn't very professional. It wasn't. How does a petition hurt you? I think we expect more of our administration. I think that a lot of businesses need to have ordinances that make it easy to do business and support your family, especially in today's economy. I think that open markets are probably the way to go. Josh has done a phenomenal job with that. And I think that most businesses that are in this situation, that have been here for years, often get grandfathered in. So yes, it did feel very personal, especially with the Department of Agriculture being called, the lies that were told there. No, we didn't call, nobody from my department called. Oh, well, look, Danny Wilson, he called. Those are backhanded ways to put a small business owner out of business. We can do better.
Okay, moving down to Ward 2s. Mr. Houston, if you'll go first on this. If you are elected to office, what duty do you think you have to exercise your own judgment? And what duty do you think you have to abide by the judgment of your ward's constituents?
When I make my commitment, my duties were gone. My duties were committed to Ward 2. And every time I make a decision, it's the decision for Ward 2, but also whatever decision I make, have to make sure that it take care of every citizen in Mooresville. I can't take one preference just for me in Ward 2 and not think about the other 75% of the people. My decision affects the rules and policies that we are governed to make, only just don't affect Ward 2. And I get in a lot of trouble about that because I'm Mooresville. It's one Mooresville. I'm on the Ward District because forefathers made districts. For me, I am a citizen and I make decisions for the whole town of Mooresville. But I do have a heart for 2, but I lived in every district in Mooresville in my lifetime. I lived in Protestant School, Cascade, 1, 2, and 3. But my home is in 2 right now. That's where my parents settled down. And so my heart is Mooresville and my decision is Mooresville. But Ward 2 is the one that represents me and the only one that can vote for me. But that's not who I serve only. I serve 100% of Mooresville, and that's who I am.
So yes, back to a previous statement that I made, there shouldn't be personal in politics. So when you are elected, you should take your personal issues, problems, and they should be gone. You should pay attention to your constituents, all constituents. Again, I'm a lifelong member of Ward 2 as well, and these are my people. Everybody in Mooresville is our people. We need to pay attention to what the town is saying. The voices are becoming loud and clear. There needs to be a change, and that is the reason that a lot of us are up here tonight. Going back to a previous question and to kind of answer this question as well, we need to ensure that we are creating avenues for small businesses to succeed in Mooresville. That is a major, major issue. I have watched since COVID, small businesses been taken out. A very good friend of mine had to shutter her business because of that environment and that situation. We should not be placing obstacles in people's paths. We should be lifting them up as a community and helping them open their businesses, because that is the backbone of what we do as a government.
Thank you. Okay, the end of the table. We will go with, I mean, you guys can mix it up. I don't even know who I went with last first.
I think he went first, so I'll go first.
All right, you go first. Fair. Okay. Drawing attention again to the feud between the town and Josh's Farmers Market. The next time the town is faced with such a situation, what can it do differently to avoid a dispute like the one that happened with the market?
So, again, I think what I was happy to have met with Josh probably a year or two ago when he was looking for just some guidance. And I remember it was some kind words he said. He said, this wouldn't be happening if you were there. And I said, well, Josh, I appreciate that compliment, but the difference is egos got involved. And once egos get involved, nobody wants to look for common ground. And the problem that Josh is having is the people who get to decide, the heavy hand of government, are now being unfair. I mean, they decided for refreshing his gravel and putting mums out and a wooden swing, which I've sat in and it's wonderful. So I think when you look at the way we treat our business community, I think it's not just there, because people forget small businesses. Randy Mayer started off as a small business. Bestco started off as a small business. This bottle we're drinking right here, Niagara Water, started off a small business somewhere in America. And when they came here, when they wanted to bring all those jobs, and do you know how much money Niagara puts between buying water from us? Do you know what we did for them? They got through planning and built their plant in 8 months. 8 months. I was out the other day at a business park, and this poor guy who the town has given incentives to bring the jobs here, he's been stuck in planning for 9 months. He hadn't even started building yet. So it's a trend of losing track of the ball. And at the end of the day, it makes me sad that Josh has had to feel the brunt of that. But I tell it all the time, Josh, I am sure, is not the only small business who's felt that. He just happens to be the one that was smart enough to go very public and inform the people what it was like to deal with a heavy hand of government. And again, as I said before, sometimes your elected body's job is to stand between government and taking advantage of its citizens, and that's really where we need to get to with Josh now.
Thank you. I think this was looked at pretty harsh. I think the town did not do enough to work with Josh in this case. We have 1,800 businesses in this town, large and small, mostly small. And I think over the years, we have tried to work with each and every one, because that's what we do. We try to attract business industry, but in this case, small business, because we encourage entrepreneurship, and we want people to be able to have a business in Mooresville, run a business in Mooresville. So I think being a little bit harsh, and I think a couple of commissioners that I serve have met with him, talked with him, and to try to work with him and come to, and talk with town administration to try to come to meet in the middle and try to make this thing work for both parties. The city ordinance say this, and Josh did this. Let's meet in the middle. Let's make this work for both. Whatever we have to do to make it work. 324 over the last 12 months, 324 small businesses have expressed interest in coming to Mooresville. This is still a growing community for business. And I guarantee you, we are, whether it's the chamber or the town, are going to try to work with whoever wants to come here to try to make it work. And we can do the same for Josh's Farmers Market.
Okay, moving on. This question will be for Mr. Owens and Mr. Carricker. The town needs to have a healthy working relationship with the Mooresville Graded School District to ensure, for instance, that current and approved growth funding needs for facilities are being addressed in a timely manner. In what ways would you work to strengthen the town's relationship with the Mooresville Graded School District? We'll start with you, Mr. Owens.
But first, could I reply on the other part about Josh's? Okay. Years ago, when I was on the town board for 8 years, if we would have had a problem like we got today with Josh Graham, you know, you're not supposed to break laws, but sometimes you can bend laws. And if Honorable Al Jones and us, when we on the board, if we had had this problem, we'd have got the planning and zoning director, we'd have got the city manager in, and said, we're gonna solve this. If not, there's the highway, go ahead and hit it, we'll get somebody else to work with us. And that's my opinion on that part, so. But on the school board, or the school, thing, there's no more support than I am for the school. The greatest school system in North Carolina, bar none. Sometimes I had a friend who kid come from Texas, he asked for the school district, they told him Mooresville, North Carolina, thousands of miles away, and they told him that. And I think that our town board should have a representative to go to school board meetings too, if they don't meet on the same night. And work together, and just be friends with them all, and that's about the best I can say about that. I'm basically off the bar on that one thing.
I would follow up with that with Mr. Owens. The only reason why you are a stronger Blue Devil fan is because you're older than I am. And I say that jokingly, but I do have a great passion for this district as well. And I think
To baseball games.
yes, sir. I think it's important that we have to come to the table together. We have to bring the stakeholders to the tables together. We have different boards. Yes, Mr. Owens he's right. We have different board meetings. We should be collaboratively working together. And some of that, yes, you can have a liaison back and forth, but sometimes the boards need to sit down together, have conversations, talking about growth. Where's growth taking place? I asked this question the other week to a commissioner. I said, where do we have enough land right now for our new high school, if we ever had to have one? And they gave me a blank stare, and that gave me heartburn. Because you can't build that in a walk. Where we build it? 100 acres. Where do we have it? And what are we doing to secure it? Either with the school district or the town. Because the district is a part of our town. And those two have to work together. We have to bridge that chasm in communication. It has to be, we've said it in every area, communication. Transparent communication, collaboration, coming together, thinking about ways that the town can then help the school system take care of its staff. I think we have missed an opportunity, if you followed education at all, we've missed an opportunity to get a lot of great people because we can't pay them as we need to, and we need the county to come in some way, shape, or form and help us fix that problem.
Thank you. Next question goes to Mr. Tone and Mr. Kinahan, in that order, just to keep it simple. What would you prioritize in the town's relationship with the Mooresville Graded School District?
My turn?
Okay. Well, I remember when they were building the high school for about $43 million, they were using a contractor from Virginia who was not getting the work done, leaving a bloody mess there for a long, long, long time. And, in my opinion, the next time we build a school, the town board needs to have someone on the school board and a non-overpaid construction evaluator to opine on not getting ripped off by an out-of-state contractor and put penalties in there of $10,000 a day until it gets done, and just start deducting it right off the top line and not accepting $1,000 a day, and after 30 days, ratchet it up to $100,000 a day, and if he goes out of business, bring in someone else, finish the project, get it done, and don't deal with an out-of-state person, and make sure there's an overseer and a manager and the town manager and the town board overseeing to make sure the citizens don't get ripped off, so the next school doesn't cost us $63 million.
Yes, sir.
Okay, what I think we need to do is we need to prioritize our facilities first, and we're doing that. We just built a new middle school, and it seems to be a great success, and they're still working there. Also, we need to find more teachers and pay them more. I know the board has their hands full And I hope if I'm elected, we will work with the school board, because like I said, they have a big job that has to get done. We have a lot of children in the school system, and continuing to come, like I said, the more development's coming, the more children are coming to our schools. Overcrowding is gonna be another one. If we're not already in that, we have kids that are in trailers, unacceptable. These children are not safe in these trailers. They need to be in the buildings, especially lately with these bomb scares. Horrible that these children have to go through this stuff. Thank you to our men and women in blue and our fire department that have been answering these calls and helping with that. And thank you to you guys in Mooresville PD. Let's hope that stops. But like you said, yeah, it's just getting the right people, because a lot of people come to Mooresville. First thing you ask them, why are you here? It's our schools. Our teachers give their heart and soul and make nothing for it. My wife was a teacher's assistant in Mooresville graded schools. And like I said, they give their heart and souls.
Okay, since everybody else has answered that question but me, I think I'll just jump in here as the sixth in line, since I think.
We have a question for you next.
Yeah, I want the school one though.
It's a school and you can jump into it. You can
Okay.
say whatever you can.
Thank you, just defending my honor.
No, perfectly fine. So this is for Ms. Sept, and if you want to go first, please. New teachers in our area cannot qualify to rent a dwelling without roommates. What do you think the town should do to provide more affordable housing options in Mooresville?
Great question. Just to finish the other part, first of all, as parents, citizens, everything, our number one responsibility is our kids and raising our kids in a healthy and safe environment. So that goes without saying. But we're back to parcel by parcel conversations on where to put a school. Go back to the One Mooresville plan and actually having a strategy for all the areas of development. We'll know where to put schools based on where we see growth and all. Otherwise, all we're doing is shooting arrows again and hoping we hit the right spot. And I don't agree with that at all. As far as the affordable housing, teachers don't get paid enough, period, and no question about that. And yeah, we need to have, I don't know what the product is that would solve that problem, whether it's starter single-family homes or apartments. That's for a planner to give us options. But we have to give teachers places, respectable places that they can call a home to be here and to be here. And so I think the board has to talk to the school system. It's not the school system's job, but I think there should be a stipend or something that helps offset the cost to bring good quality teachers into our community, and that may be something to look at as a solution.
So, first of all, unless something's changed, and Bobby might be able to help address this, I know that the school system has always been pretty top of mind for me, and affordable housing here in Mooresville keeps me up at night, literally. I have adult children who would love to live here in Mooresville. They just can't afford to. The school district has been great, but Bobby has always mentioned to me before that the school board really isn't the town board's jurisdiction, right? They're two separate boards with two separate fiscal budgets. So the town really doesn't have a lot of direction over the school board. So I would be concerned or confused. Has that changed recently, Bobby? Okay. So it's limited what the town can do, I think, to make decisions over the schools and where they're built. But that does bring to the attention that we do need affordable housing here. It's ridiculous that a apartment, one bedroom, is going for upwards of $1,800 a month here in town, okay? You'd almost have to make $30+ an hour in order to afford to live on your own. It's ridiculous. How can we attract good quality candidates to come to Mooresville to teach our children if they can't afford to live here? Then you have them coming in, right? They have to have transportation to get here. Our streets are already overcrowded. So without affordable housing, we're just, again, circling the wagons, trying to figure out how they're going to get here, where they're going to live. They have to commute in, commute out. So we, as a town board, at the town, we need to look at properties that the town owns. Affordable housing isn't something that everybody loves. I'm sure we need affordable housing.
Jimmy, I'm just gonna jump in real quick. They are two separate boards, but growth doesn't happen by accident, it happens through coordination and cooperation. So I think the two boards need to have better relationships and talking to each other about the issues, but the power, yeah, each board has its own power. Yeah.
Before Mr. Carp took what I was getting ready to say.
It's free of charge, by all means.
Thank you guys very much. Okay, let's go to Commissioner Compton and Mr. Carney. How can the town balance the advantages of being a large metropolitan area with a desire to maintain its own unique identity?
That sounds difficult. Look at our town now. Look at our downtown. We're 54,000 population. When businesses come here, they look at our downtown. It's thriving. There's events or something going on all the time. So that we keep this through the Historic Preservation Commission and in MDC. We still work to keep the downtown the way it is. It's that small town feel. There's people in North Mecklenburg come to Mooresville because we have a real downtown, and they like to come here and shop. They like the small town feel of that. But yet we also have the lake. We have the YMCA. We have a lot of other amenities. What we do with Liberty Park, the baseball team every summer. There's a lot of amenities going on that draw people into town to make it feel like a big city. And then we have restaurants and shopping that makes it feel like a big city. But yet you can always have that small town feel. Being here all my life as Commissioner Houston, Commissioner Diller, we see that, we feel that, but we like it because that question, we don't have to go out of town for anything anymore. It used to be, growing up here, we had our downtown, get our hair cut here, go shopping, right in our downtown, when Bill was right here where we are today. But you used to have to go to Charlotte. Maybe when the mall opened in Statesville, go to Charlotte, go to other cities to do our shopping or a nice restaurant. You don't have to. Everything we have is right here in Mooresville. Downtown feel, go to a nice restaurant, you can shop, stay right here. So it sounds like it's a problem, but it's really not. I think it's meshed pretty well in the way the town's grown and how it's grown for what you described. Thank you.
I am gonna ask you to repeat that one more time, because I think that his answer got me a little all over the place on some of the things that, I thought was a good answer.
Okay, how can the town balance the advantages? You're gonna make me say metropolitan again. That's all you did that for. How can the town balance the advantages of being a large metropolitan area with a desire to maintain its own unique identity?
So I think the key is, you've heard a lot, obviously Bob talked about downtown. The thing that we miss out on is that Mooresville is a big family with a lot of children, some dysfunctional, but a lot of children, right? And we gotta love them all the same. And so often you'll hear somebody get caught in one lane downtown. But we have a lot of lanes. And to be fair, a lot of those lanes aren't being looked after. And I think that's the bigger issue that people are missing. So we have metropolitan policies. So when you go off to these and sit with the Durhams and the Charlottes, you come back and bring their ideas, you start to see why we're starting to feel like the Durhams and the Charlottes, right? And you start to hear people complain about not feeling like Mooresville used to be. I think we have a very good sight on what we felt these last 10 years, right? Our roads have become more crowded. We've had a different kind of development than we used to. We have an apartment complex with just a turn lane, as opposed to building no development. I tell people all the time, everybody loves to have a grocery store and stuff next to their house. That's why the way you plan your community really matters. And I'm gonna touch a little bit on affordable housing, but people don't realize this is a game of we. You hear a lot of I sometimes in the world. It's a game of we. So Cary Builders doesn't get a shout out. We brought Cary Builders with affordable housing product. The planning department decided they wanted to talk to somebody in Durham. We had somebody in our town who offered to put in 150,000 on houses. The problem is our town didn't want to work with them, okay? There are the situations like that. We talk about friendly. Go look at Costco. $3 million of road improvements came with Costco. They had to fight for a year in court to come here. Fight for a year. And then we ended up having to mediate, and I'll be fair, they didn't want any lawyers, so I felt very kindly. Commissioner Dingell would say, they asked me to go in and work on behalf of the town and Costco. It took us 45 minutes, y'all. A year in court, 45 minutes later, everybody was back on track. Come on, that's the way you do business here. Let's go.
Okay, at long last, final question, and then we're gonna give you guys each a time to kind of close up, wrap up, 2 minutes each. but first, we'll ask Commissioner Houston and Mr. Avon, what role should a vibrant downtown play in the community? And how do you balance tending to downtown and promoting downtown while promoting other parts of the community?
How we balance it. I think it goes back to downtown. Me, I believe downtown, no matter what city, the downtown is the heart, and everything else is the vein. And so, if the heart's not beating, the vein ain't gonna, the vein's not gonna get big. So, what I like now about how we do it is that we are promoting Mooresville as one Mooresville. There's always been two Mooresville, there's been a 2815 and a 2817. That do not exist because of 77. I think we promote downtown. I live 2 blocks from here, and I get in my car at night and just ride downtown just to see the activity going on. That's what I care about, our downtown, and how vibrant it be when I can come downtown on a Tuesday night and you can't find a parking space. That means your blood is pumping and people's coming into town that don't live here. And how you keep it friendly is because I could still walk outside and I can call people by their first name. That's what you call downtown and home, and that's how you keep it vibrant when we have a relationship with everybody. There's no separation to me. There's no such thing as they don't need it on this side or that side. We one side. This is Mooresville. And it's all it could ever be in my life is one Mooresville. Raleigh School Road, anywhere, Shimmer Road, that's Mooresville. Everything's Mooresville. There's no separation. We got to get away from that separation of who and become one, and we'll be a more vibrant town to live in.
So, we have a vibrant downtown, I think. I enjoy downtown. I live downtown. I'm in walking distance of downtown. We need to ensure that downtown remains the crown jewel of Mooresville. It is a destination. It is a great place for people to come, to be together, to see friends, to see family. That stuff doesn't happen on the other side of the interstate very often. So we need to make sure that downtown retains that charm, retains that historic character. And the way to do that is to have a historic preservation commission that is involved and active in helping the town to preserve that history. You also have to weigh in new developments that are coming into downtown. What are they going to do to the traffic patterns, to the parking, to the overall footprint changes that happen downtown? People can't park here, they won't come down here. That's the bottom line. And we're rapidly running out of parking, rapidly. And so there are large buildings that are planned for directly behind or adjacent to this building that I'm concerned about, taking up valuable parking that has always been there our entire lives. We don't know what that's going to look like, in my opinion, well enough to say, yes, let's embrace that. So the key is to maintaining Mooresville is that vibrant crown jewel that people, it's a destination. It is a place for people to come and be proud of and live and work, but in the same respect, it has to be accessible to all our people.
Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I wanna say a personal thank you to each and every one of you for coming out. I was thrilled to see every seat filled up there. And I think that one thing that we all have in common, whether we agree or disagree, is an insane love for our community and wanting to see it have a vibrant future. So, with that being said, I'd actually like a round of applause for everybody that showed up here and here. I really appreciate it. And now I'm gonna give you guys the floor for the rest of the time. We'll start this side of the table, move down since we went the other way the first time. And you have 2 minutes to close up, and I'll leave it to the trustee, bell ringer, to keep you on task.
And I also appreciate everybody for coming, but I just wanna say, lived here all my life, Mooresville's the greatest place to live, to work, to play. We've got a fantastic town, we've got a great public works department. Chief Deaton has a fire department, the men and women are second to none. The police department, being a former policeman, my brothers and sisters in blue are the best and also the best chief anywhere in this state, or in a couple of states. And I just hope that everybody will continue to work for the betterment of our town and our community, help the small businesses grow, and let our downtown flourish more, and just a great place to live, and I hope that, I'll be honest, everybody votes for Frank Owens. Thank you.
Well, everybody votes for Angela Stutz. No, I am so tickled to see so many people that want to serve the community. The joke at my house is after I ran for mayor a few years ago, I would never run again for public office. I am not a politician. I'm your neighbor, I'm a community volunteer, and I'm passionate about everyone in this community. And for me, that means seeing everybody be successful, no matter who you are. I think from a cultural perspective, we bring so much together. And like everybody said, when we work together. So the joke was that this would either be the third time's a charm or 3 strikes, I'm done. But you will always see me out in the community, just advocating for everyone. And I do hope that the town gets out and votes. Every vote counts, as we've seen in previous elections, and I look forward to your support.
I apologize for that. The town, I thought it was a small town. I didn't know we were a metropolitan town. But anyway, there's land behind the town where people park, and I believe the town paid $700,000 for it. And that's the only parking we have. If I get elected, I'll do everything I can to make sure we never build buildings there. We need parking. Now, I don't like the idea of 3-level or 4 levels of parking. But without parking, businesses will start to fold. A lot of businesses do fold because there is no parking 90% of the time. That's a problem. As far as jobs go, we need jobs in this town. There's 535 acres that the town owns. It needs to be parceled out into smaller parcels that are 1.5, 2 acres, 3 acres. And we were rated #1 in the country as a small town 8 years, I think it was 9 years in a row, but who's counting? We're never gonna get rated that way ever again, because we're no longer under 50,000 people. What goes up fast, like all our values, will come down even faster if the Federal Reserve ever raises interest rates to 8 or 9%. We're gonna have way more inventory than we know what to do with. I guess that's the bell. So I think I'll have to have some private conferences with some people.
Okay, since I've been taking this out of the holder the whole night, I'll keep doing it. My opinion, Mooresville needs experienced leadership to celebrate where we've been, which is why I live in a 117-year-old house that I renovated from studs and turned into a modern structure. We need to celebrate what we've accomplished so far, but we also need to embrace and welcome our future opportunities. And I think you do that on a couple of levels, and it starts with a good, solid plan so that we're not guessing where things are coming, we're laying out and designing where things are coming. I had an urban architect client years ago, and he dropped a rock in a pond of water, and he said, watch the rings and how they grow out from the rock. The rock is Charlotte. We're just in the way of growth. It's coming. To deny it would be silly. To embrace it and to manage it would be smart. The other thing that I didn't get to touch on, which I will end with, is how do we become a vibrant and desirable place to be? Green space, parks and recreation, Liberty Park, Edgemore Park, redoing War Memorial, the little garden flower area that's down by Epic that is just a nice place to sit. That's what makes our community livable, lovable, a place to be, and keeps our character unique and different from other places that just line streets with shops and more parking and traffic and everything else that happens. I want your vote. I would love your vote. I'll take your support when I win.
Well, firstly, I'd like to thank everybody that came here this evening. Thank you very much for coming out and listening to us. And to the people at home streaming this live, thank you also. Mooresville's a great place to live. If it wasn't, we wouldn't be here. There's so much more that this town has to offer, and with the right leadership, that can happen. So I'm hoping that you support me for your new commissioner at large, because there's a lot of great things to come. Like I said, Liberty Park, there was just a concert there this past Saturday. The place was packed. It's good to see these things, community coming together. So let's just continue that. And I want to wish all of my fellow candidates the best of luck. And that's all I have.
Thank you. As I stated in my opening, I'm very grateful and honored to be a resident all my life here, live here and be a part of this community and give back to this community. I think we've got some great obstacles ahead of us in some areas and we have to be transparent and work through it. We can't keep our head in the sand on some things. We've got to work through them. Come to the table, be open, be collaborative, and be about the people. Be about the people of whom we would have the opportunity to serve. I'm very thankful from Mr. Owens to Mr. Compton here, all the way down, that these men and women have chosen to take a step forward and are willing to serve. That's huge. We've got 55,000 other people who are not willing to do that. So whomever has that opportunity, I honor them and respect them. Of course, I would like your support, but more importantly, please go vote. Thank you to all of these men and women here and to everyone watching. Ms. Gavin for putting this on. We're very thankful for the opportunity.
Just like to thank everyone for coming out and big questions tonight to bring out information that people want to hear. And you know, it's been an honor and a privilege for me to live here, but also to be part of the growth and more. That's the reason I'm still running. I'm one that when I start something, I want to give it 100%. Getting to a point where, you know, I like new faces, I like challenges. And I'm glad to see people coming out and looking for this, because I was sitting on the porch. I had no opportunity, but I had a granddaughter born in 2002, and my life changed there. I'm sitting on the porch doing nothing. Maybe I have a voice when I get this position to make more of a better place for the next generation. That's why I love this job, because I'm trying to make a place for the next generation. It's not for me. I'm a 71-year-old man. It's not for me. It's for the next generation why I work so hard for this community, because I love it and I want people to stay here. But it's also that we've done a lot. When I came on the board, it was 18,000 people. 55 now. It was still dirt road. This metropolitan city was still had dirt roads when I came on. You don't see dirt roads. And my background and my history with this board go through Ward 2. When it used to be everywhere you went, the road stopped when you got to my neighborhood. And one thing you have to know is that you get to know your ward, even though I do support the whole city. If you don't know your ward, how are you going to support the people if you don't know how to go? I can go anywhere. I know everybody. You have to know your ward. I know my ward, and I need your vote to give me one more term to finish and complete some of the projects that we have. I want to see one pick this dirt road on it before I leave.
So my goal, obviously, is to improve the transparency that we have in this town. I think that's first and foremost. A lot of the other problems would be not alleviated, but helped if we knew what was going on. Now, I'm not talking about personal issues and things of that nature, but the things that go on behind closed doors, we need to know as a community what's going on in our community. Regardless of the outcome of this election, I feel like that the people who are up here because we want to change. We want something different for our town. Things just can't continue to go exactly the same way. So regardless of how this panel is voted, I look forward to working with everybody on this panel because I feel like everybody up here is dedicated to Mooresville and the future of our town. And it's a great brain trust to continue those discussions and shouldn't be ignored or put away. So that's what I think we need to do as a town to move forward, is start working together and get through these issues. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate y'all coming out. I've been out of public service for 10 years, but I've never stopped working for you. I've never stopped caring about this town. My wife and I, Francie, live in 28117, but my office is on Main Street. Francie and I chose to invest our personal money into downtown land to see. We want to see downtown thrive. We have been active in charities. We've put our personal families' money into recreation for children in this town. We love what we have here. And I'm so excited to move forward. And my commitment to the Mooresville school system, I've told them, we are partners. We're going to work through these things that we have in front of us. When I went to their planning retreat, popped into here, it's great to hear where they're going, but it's also great to hear their needs, because we have to be lockstep as we move for that new high school, and the way that we deal with things like fentanyl coming into our community, and the crime that being a larger city, 61%, it's gone up 61% in the last decade, getting calls to our police, not crime, no, but calls to our police. These guys work hard. I'm so proud of the fact that the FOP has thought enough to endorse me. I'm so proud the State Highway Patrol Association has thought enough to endorse me. So proud that the firemen, Mooresville Firemen's Association, thought enough to endorse me. I'm proud to say that Chief Wes Kearney thought enough to endorse me. I'm proud to say that Carl Robbins, former police chief, thought enough to endorse me. That should tell you, the people who have worked with us, they see two different roads. Y'all have two very different choices. I hope you'll realize the mayor you elect must be able to go down and go to Raleigh and bring back road money. They must be able to work with their fellow board members to build a community. It is a we game. It is a team. They must be able to go to DC and continue to bring our requests to our congressman. Patrick McHenry is a dear friend. Okay? These are the things I hope you'll think about when you vote. Thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Carney. I'm not a politician. I will not tell you what you want to hear. There's a difference in being a commissioner, being a mayor. The mayor's powers are very limited. Commissioner makes policy, they vote. Of course, the mayor does break a tie. But very little power. We're just the face of the town. We represent the town and do some of the things Mr. Carney stated. It goes more than that to make us a thriving community and do what we need to do. When I was a firefighter, when I was asked to serve, it said, you need to be the mayor because of my history in the fire department. Elizabeth Funeral Home is, when will you be mayor? And as commissioner is, when you're going to run for mayor. So I've been asked by this community, by those who've been here a long, long time, those who know me, to do this. I was born here, raised here, work here, and I live here. And I'm going to be your next mayor. I've been working for this town in some capacity for 43 years. 43 years. In every aspect of it. And Mr. Carney stated earlier about the manager, that I like the town manager. I've worked with or for 7 town managers in my 43 years. I liked every one of them because I had to work with them to get things done. I've got to work with these guys whether I really like them or not. I've got to work with them. We've got to make things work. We've got to be positive with this. We've got to move forward. So when elected, whoever it may be, sitting up here, you've got expectations for an effective board of commissioners. You've got a code of ethics, you've got a code of conduct, conduct, you've got governance principles, and you know your statutory roles as an elected official. Mr. Beck, when you're at the meetings, you remember what I said, none of us are doing that up here. You call us out. We have got to do that, that's a requirement. We are under general statute, state law, in the way we perform as a mayor or a commissioner. We have to follow that.